What's up, boys? Today we're going to be riding tracks that you've never heard of and that are very underrated. Right now we're on El Chupacabra's ranch by 3F Dirtworks, and we're just going to spin a lap here and kind of just talk about it. This track is really fun and really cool. I think, you know, this is Blake Baggett's place, and I think he has one of the gnarliest compounds that there is. Just the track, I mean, there's been all kinds of clips coming from Baggett's place back in the day, and it was just a gnarly place. I don't know if he still has. I'm sure that they still use it. You can actually backflip off that, by the way. But yeah, this track is awesome, and it has more than just this outdoor track, but this is kind of the main track. It's pretty hard at times. I mean, I think the last time I played this track was on different OEMs, because I remember it being much more difficult, or maybe I'm just a lot better at the game, which that could be the case. But it's a pretty, you know, kind of challenging. There's a lot of different timing things. As you can tell, it's pretty wide open and kind of fast, and so sections like that where you can kind of just send it into spots can be difficult at times, or like that. But for the most part, it's really fun and pretty intuitive. And as you can see, there's Supercross track over there to my right. This jump is iconic and very fun. Also, if you see, my guy has a little bit of leg swag coming off him. It's because I have the new animations mod, and they figured out a way to do the leg swag where it just automatically does it. And you can pick which leg you want it on, which is fire. Right now I have it on the left leg. I think I'm going to switch it to the right leg, because if you combine it, I forgot where I was. If you combine this with Insane's mod, where you can pull a tear off like that to do the left leg swag, then you can pretty much have leg swag on either leg, which is pretty sick. So we're gonna move on now. This was El Chupacabra's ranch, and we'll move on to the next track here. All right, boys, this is ERAC's Honolulu, and this was a part of the MNSR series. And okay, I haven't played this track in a very long time, so you know, give me grace if I'm gonna wad up 24/7 here, but I'm gonna try to just do consistent laps for you. Nothing too crazy here, brother. But this entire series, I think, was drastically, I don't know, underrated, if that's the word, or just kind of overlooked. This track and the next track were both part of a series that I think did not get nearly as much love that it should have. All of these tracks that ERAC's made were awesome, and I think the biggest thing that I've noticed about these tracks is there's a ton of line choice. Like, it seems like a lot of the tracks you can make really creative lines going inside, really creative lines going outside, and it all seems, and everything seems pretty balanced. And as you can see, because I just wadded myself, these tracks are actually pretty difficult. I think he really did a good job of making it so you're not just wide open everywhere. It doesn't really, oh my gosh, you can send that. See, okay, that's what I mean by lines. You could send that right into there. The roughness isn't it's not like aerial rough where the rough is everywhere. But where it is rough, it's pretty big, and it definitely makes you have to think about what you're doing. Oh my gosh, I'm just casing everything. Not really doing a good job of showcasing the course here, but we are, oh my goodness, we are trying to get to that inside there. But yeah, I really like it. As you can see, like right here, man, you really see, if you don't slow down, it just kind of hops you over that inside, and here it's like there isn't much rough, but where it is rough, it just is really well placed, and like thoughtful braking bumps and thoughtful like ruts, and it's like he just used it to balance the track instead of just making the track rough because it should be rough. And I think that's really cool, you know, and it also gives you the opportunity to be kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm crashing, you know, a little Jet Lawrence action, and kind of hip hop through the jumps, or the bumps, I guess, if you will, to be creative instead of just having to, you know, kind of blitz your way through everything. So yeah, I think this entire series from ERAC's is really good. The environments are really cool too. They're all very different. Like this one's in Honolulu. He's got some in Reno and Albuquerque. It's like just a bunch of cool almost like city environments, but right outside the city, and I really like it. So let's move on to another series track that I think got overlooked big time. All right, boys, welcome to Wild Rose by Kiwin, and this track is a part of his Triple Crown series, and man, it did not get nearly the love it should have. This track is really like pretty easy too. So I'm not really sure why it wasn't more popular amongst, you know, kind of the masses. And the environment, man, just the way this track looks, man, it really makes you feel like you are just up on a giant mountain in the midst of the mountains. And I love his color palettes on this whole series, where all of his banners are kind of, you know, like neon colors or bright colors. I think it's cool. And then you can contrast that against the, you know, giant mountains in the background. It's just a really cool vibe. And I just, yeah, I really like this. And if you're newer to bikes and trying to get in and find some tracks that look really good that, you know, aren't necessarily super difficult, I think this is a good one for you, or this whole series. There's another track from this series where it's like in a fairgrounds, and it is really cool. It's one of my like one of my favorites. So yeah, but I wanted to show this one off because I don't think this one was nearly as popular as that fairground one, and it just is absolutely gorgeous, and I feel like it got severely overlooked, and it makes me a little sad. But all right, I think we're gonna move on. Now what we're gonna do is these next two tracks are probably going to be pretty popular to some of the OGs, or people that have been around the community for a while. But if you're newer, which I know there's a lot of new people, I would almost bet you've never heard of these next two tracks. So let's jump right over to that one, right? Meow. All right, boys, welcome to the CGI facility by Fat Muppet. And like I said, if you guys have been around for a while, I know you're gonna be like, Duck, of course, it's a Fat Muppet track. We all know this one, but I don't know. I have a little sneaking suspicion that if you are kind of newer to the game and, you know, have only been playing for a few months, or maybe even like 6 or 7 months, I bet you've never seen this track. So this is CGI Facility by Fat Muppet, the absolute legend, and this track is amazing. This track is so awesome. It flows so good. If you guys don't know who Fat Muppet is, tracks like Walnut, Farm 14, Walnut V2, Redbud 2K, that's all my guy right there. Okay, yeah, and this track lives up to the name. Okay, very fun, but like kind of just one of those tracks that was really popular when it came out. And like, I don't know their sales. Maybe he's still farming, you know, maybe he's still farming. But I haven't seen it on like a, you know, a server list in a very long time. So I would assume that if people are joining the game, they haven't, you know, they're unaware. And I just wanted to bring a little bit of light to it. But yeah, kind of like I was saying, kind of one of those tracks that popped off when it first came out, and then we just haven't really seen much of it since then, which is kind of sad. But maybe this video will help bring some servers back on it, you know, because it's definitely, you know, worth, and the tracks is amazing. And as you can see, like, it just flows so well, looks amazing, really fun. It's fun on a 250, fun on a 450. I'm kind of just ripping everything on a 450 today just for the vibes. But yeah, good time. You can triple in there. It's very hard, but you can do it. So anyway, this CGI Facility, we're gonna move on to Fox Hills now. And this is a free track. All right, boys, welcome to Fox Hills. This track is free. And again, if you've been around for a while, maybe you've seen this track, maybe you haven't. It does have quite a bit of views on the mods page, but I think even more than paid tracks at times, the tracks that kind of get popular on mods really disappear pretty quick if they're not like really popular, because there are so, oh my goodness, I forgot where I was. Oh my, hold on. The step of a century. Because there are, oh, okay, well, as you can see, I haven't played this track in a little while, but because there are so many different kinds of mods on MXB mods, I think free tracks get buried pretty quick. You know, you might have like a bunch of different bike skins and, you know, goggles come out or something, and then the tracks that are cool but like don't take over the scene kind of fall away pretty quick. So I just wanted to bring this one out. The thing I'm noticing right away is it is not soft soil. I believe it is just soil. So the traction is not as good on these, oh my goodness, on the current beta 18 bikes. And so maybe that might have detoured some people away. You know, people really just want as much traction as possible when playing this game. Bring the beta 19 bikes, please. But yeah, oh my gosh, that line was fire. I think you could probably do that. But yeah, it's pretty fun. I feel like a bot riding around, but I really want to kind of give you kind of raw input on these tracks. I didn't want to just kind of sweat. I wanted to kind of ad-lib this as we go. So this is what you get for me being raw. I suck, you know, my bad on that one. I really love the elevation. Obviously, it's Fox Hills, so that's kind of the vibe, right? You know, and I love this part of it where you can kind of jump up here, and then it gets real rough. You have to really make sure you slow down and then back up onto the plateau here, the plateau, and then hard on the brakesicles, hard on the binders, you know what I mean? And then back up. Yeah, I don't know. It's just cool. Fox Hills is a really unique track. I thought I was going left there, but I'm actually going right. And just, if you want to work on your kind of timing on things, this is probably a good one, because you can't really send it everywhere. You have to really kind of just chop the throttle everywhere and get around. So I like it a lot. Pretty fun. It's also nice to ride something with different soil sometimes, so you don't, you know, drag your bars around every corner. And let me cook. All right, let's move on. All right, here is a track I actually have been playing. Well, I was gonna say that I've been playing this track, so I shouldn't crash very much, but yeah, you can see that I might just be bad at the game. But this is I'll put the link down below, by Oliwer, and it's a sand track that is super fun. I've had a lot of fun. You know, there are some tracks that are fun to like race, some tracks that are fun to just kind of mess around on, and then there are some tracks that are fun to hot lap. And let me tell you, baby, this track is fun to hot lap. Now, it is very big, very large, and there are some sections that are pretty difficult, but for the most part, man, oh yeah, so you have to slow down. As I was saying, it is a pretty challenging track, but I think once you kind of get the flow, you kind of get used to that sand traction and kind of understand where all the jumps are, it's a really fun track to hot lap, and I think would create some pretty fun racing. Because it is so challenging, and it's definitely a 450 track though. I will say that I think if you are on a 250, it would probably get a little old, because you know you're going to be wide open in fifth the whole time, where at least the 450 you have to downshift a couple times, you know, but for the most part you're still just wide open on a 450. But look at these ruts, man. Like, brah. If you don't, okay. Dude, I'm telling you, every time I try to show you something cool, I'm just mid. But here we go. We're gonna lock it in for this corner, and then we're switching to the next track. My friends, if you are an OG, like an OG, this track will immediately just stand out to you. This is MXGP of Hyvinka by Bishop, and my friends, let me tell you, this was the track back in the day. All right, we spent beta 16, you know, beta 17, this was the track. Also, look at, like, absolutely no offense to Bishop whatsoever, because this track is absolutely legendary. But look at the, like, level of just how much tracks have improved visually compared to just a year or two ago. It's probably 2 years ago at this point, but I'm very confident that if you're new to MX bikes, or newer, even the last like year and a half, you've never played this track. You didn't even know this track existed, because the link is actually broken, and the only way to get the link is to go to the link in the description, and then you have to look in the comments of it to get the link. And so usually people, they just go click on the link and then they're cooked. But I cannot tell you how many memories, how much time, and how many streams, and oh man, this track is just dear to my heart. I love it so much. One of my all-time favorites, I think, just specifically just for the nostalgia. These bikes that we currently have are so fast, and so a lot of this stuff, you know, a lot of these lines were a lot harder back in the day, and the traction was a lot worse back in the day, so this track was actually pretty challenging, but man, I don't know, I love it. I love it so much. And all right, another track that I spent a lot of time on back in the day and was also very popular back in the day, but I don't think most people really know about it anymore, is MXGP of Imola. So we're gonna head over to there. Right meow, right meow. Welcome to MXGP of Amola, my friends. All right, this track is also pretty old, and I literally haven't seen this track in at least a year. This was on mods, and I remember when this track came out, we were all, I mean, I don't know about we were all, but I used to think this track was so hard, just like beyond my skill level. I used to have to really sweat. I think I made a video on this track, or I included it in a video, kind of just like this, where maybe the whole video wasn't dedicated to it, but it was in a video. And man, I remember really having to sweat to complete a lap, like super locked in order to not crash. And a lot of that has to do with you know, just the bikes improving and just kind of how the game has evolved over the years. But I think a lot of that is just like, and I was thinking about making a video on this as well, but just kind of the general skill level of MX bikes is wild. Like now compared to what it was, like the skill floor is so much higher than it was a year or two ago, you know? And I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, creators and people spending a lot of time in the game and then sharing knowledge. So it's a lot easier, you know, the barrier of entry is a lot lower for the average person versus when we started playing beta 15, beta 16, there was really not a lot of people sharing knowledge of the physics or kind of how to go fast in the way that makes sense with bikes. I think, you know, King Rider was kind of the first person that was doing that. That's who I learned a lot from. His turn video and his whoops video, I think were kind of like revolutionary at the time. And King Rider taught me so much about this game, just one-on-one. That's really how I learned everything that I know about the game. Everything that I share about the game is all from Rider, pretty much. And which is crazy because brother just figured it out, you know? That was all him. He just kind of studied the game. And at different times back then, man, people were just really, I think, a lot more passionate about the game at times, and were really studying, like, because nobody knew anything, you know? Everyone was trying to really figure out how to go fast on this game and the nuances and everything. Now, there's videos on everything. And so that's, I mean, it's cool in some ways, but man, they were just running on passion, you know? Anyway, if you guys like this video, make sure you guys do hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. We're on our way to 30K, which is insane. We just passed 100,000 follower, like combined followers, like a few weeks ago, which is unreal. You know, I remember making content years ago, hitting my first 1,000 followers, and I remember people being like, all right, so you've peaked, what's next? And you know, now to be over 100,000 when I mean, a lot of people said it would never be possible in this scene. You know, and just to see, you know, Troy's at 100,000 on YouTube, couple 100,000 on TikTok, you know, like it's just really incredible to see kind of from all aspects that, like, man, if you put the work in and study and really are wise with the decisions that you make, you could literally do anything. Like, who would have thought you could get 100,000 subs on YouTube by playing MX bikes? I guarantee, I don't know. I don't think many people would have ever thought that. So W Troy, I didn't even think it would be possible to get 100,000. You know, I don't know. I wasn't really sure what was possible when I started. You know, 100,000 followers combined is insane. But yeah, anyway, I love you. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and peace.